Hello, this is Christina Barton. You're watching Black Tea News. Hello, welcome to Black Tea News. I'm your host, Christina Barr. I hope you guys had a good weekend. I had a great weekend. We were in revival, as I told you guys. So we had a out-of-state pastor who came, Pastor Jeff Haygood, and he's a great guy. Besides him being an Ohio State fan, but I don't even actually care about sports that much, but just want to throw that in there. But he's a great preacher, so we had a great time. So I had a good weekend. Hope you guys enjoyed your weekend as well. Today we're going to be talking about some crazy different protests that have been going on revolving the Israeli-Gaza conflict, and there's one particular image that's been going around of a Norwegian woman. She has a poster that says clean the world or something, and I don't remember what the poster says. We'll see it in the video I'm going to show you guys, but it has a Jewish symbol on there, and so they asked her what it was about. So I actually have that interview that I want to show you guys, and it's pretty interesting, pretty amazing. So I want to show you guys that. Also, the Israeli government did something that it hasn't really done before, but there's been so many questions about what is true, what was false, and people denying like children being killed and all kinds of different things. And so they decided to air some like raw footage that's been collected by surveillance footage, GoPro footage from the actual terrorists and other stuff like that, and just show the media. And so that happened today, and people are reporting some pretty horrific things. They're talking about some pretty horrific things that they've seen, and I can only imagine, because the things that I've seen are pretty horrific already. So it's incredible, I guess, what people believe or what they don't believe. Or I had posted on my YouTube just a few screenshots of people going and tearing down posters of missing people, and there's a few people who are like, oh, this is just propaganda, everything's propaganda. I'm like, you think it's propaganda that these people were kidnapped? I'm just like, I don't know what to tell you guys, man. Well, I don't know what else to convince people of what's going on. I can only say what is true, or try to report what is true. I think I'm doing a better job than the New York Times, who did come out, by the way, and kind of apologize for the 500 hospital bombing thing. They said, they need to, not trust Hamas as much. So I guess that's something. I also want to show you guys this really viral video that you maybe have seen by now. I wanted to show it before, but last week something always came up, and I just kind of forgot about it. But Pierre, who's running against the prime minister he's running for prime minister in Canada, and there was this great interview he had where he's just eating an apple. So if you haven't seen it, it's a great video, and he just, as he's being asked questions, he just pushes back on the questions that they're asking by just asking them to clarify what they actually mean. Because a lot of times people will interview different folks who they want to see as right leaning or whatever, and they'll throw out accusations that are that don't have any sort of grounding in reality. And so he just asks simple questions and just tears it all apart. And I think maybe we'll actually start with that interview first. But before we jump into it, I want to encourage you guys to go to blacktonews.com, check out different content on the website, different articles, different videos, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation at blacktonews.com/donate. Cost the stream, it costs to run my website, all that stuff, so you guys can support in that way. I very much do appreciate it. There's a link in the description if you're watching on Facebook and YouTube. You can also give by giving stars if you're on Facebook, and if you're on YouTube, you guys can do super chats. So I do appreciate you if you're willing to do that. But again, the fastest and best way is to actually just go through the website at blacktonews.com, check out different merch that we have with the website, just show a thing or two, like the I'm Not the Victim You're Looking For shirt that's available, got Black Tea mug. I'll get some more stuff for the holidays, so you guys can check out some new merch as well. Also, check out some of my books. I have 17 that I have published. If you're in the Michigan area or you are traveling for Motor City Comic Con, I will have a booth there. I do not know the booth number off the top of my head. Well, I don't know if they told us yet, but I'll be there. And so my sister, who does art, she actually did the artwork for my book, Of Course God Is Blatantly Against Abortion. So she usually, we're right next to each other. They've honored our, when we have asked for that every other time. So assuming they will do the same again, we'll probably be right next to each other. So she'll have a lot of art you guys can pick from if you like art, and I'll have all my books there that if you guys want to check out some of my books. But this covers rights, theology, science, philosophy, etc. I was talking to some, actually the pastors came to visit this weekend because they're from Ohio. And I did ask what they thought about the abortion legislation that they're trying to put on the ballot. And they're like, do you want me to tell you what you want to hear? Or you want me to tell you what I think is going to happen? I was like, just tell me the truth. And so they thought that it was probably going to pass. And you're like, in Ohio, look, these things are worded really different, man. And they mainly talked about how there's so much money on the pro-choice side, which is what happened here in Michigan. Like, I don't think we had the best messaging from like the main groups who are pushing out stuff. They're like, it's too confusing. I'm like, I'm not confused about what's going on. Like, you need to speak with like clarity about what it is. Like, not say this to anyway. There was so much money on the pro-choice side, and I would like to know, on a side note, Vivek is from Ohio and he's obviously very rich. So I'm trying to figure out, like, because I haven't seen him talk about this. I haven't seen him talk about it, and that really bothers me. Because there's a very small chance that he will successfully be the president. There's a very big chance that someone like him could have made a substantial effort in preserving tens of thousands of lives every year in his state. So I'm going to dig a little deeper into that, but I haven't seen him talk about it. There was a tweet like in August, was it, or was it a little earlier, when they had the when they tried to kind of block it, but some kind of other thing. But I haven't really seen him talk about it. He's gotten obviously a lot of press, gone to different places, but I haven't seen him talking about that issue. So that I'm just letting you know that bothers me. But I hope that's not the case. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. But if it is the case, pro-life people have to make stronger arguments, and they have to embolden their fellow people who agree with them, and other conservatives and other Republicans. Because some people do feel like, I guess, kind of the vibe that Trump is giving, like it's just let it go because it's an issue that's going to ding us, rather than this is a egregious, immoral situation, and we need to be persuasive and not let the Whigs take over the party. And I say the Whigs take over the party because the Whigs couldn't. They didn't want to get on board with abolition of slavery, so the Republican Party, which was a minority party, just had to replace them, etc. So we just got a lot of work to do, and there has to be the fight in you. There's a lot of fight in the other side, along with a lot of money. And it's not that our side doesn't have money, it's that a lot of people with a lot of money don't want to have that fight. So we need like a Frederick Douglass moment telling off the people on July 5th when he had that "What is the 4th of July to a slave" speech. We need like a good telling off of people on our side to really get in the fight. And it's not, and there's pro-life people who are not Republican, who are Democrats and stuff, but they're severely outnumbered on their side. Before I jump into the the rest of the content, I just want to point out, before I came on, I noticed that someone had replied to one of my TikTok videos, which I did a TikTok replying to one of their comments. And so, you know how people will say that, oh, you're forcing women to carry a child, you're forcing a woman to give birth, etc., blah, 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 if you ban abortion. I'm like, okay, when a woman is pregnant, and this is a young man I'm talking to, when a woman is pregnant, the baby exists. The baby exists. The abortion doesn't, like, it's not a alt delete button or something like that, or, it, well, even that, like, you can still go back. It doesn't just poof them out of existence. It takes a life. It kills that unique human individual. But the way that they're either going to be born, or they're going to be born. Birth is just you exiting the canal, right? So whether you come out alive or dead, you're going to exit. So birth is inevitable. Abortion is actually forced birth because it forces it to happen, obviously earlier than it's meant to, and to a dead baby. Either your baby's going to come out live, you're going to have a stillborn baby, you're going to have a miscarriage, or you are deliberately going to take the life of your baby and then cause it to exit out of you. And that's what the abortion is. So I'm like, no one is forcing you. So I'm like, as a matter of fact, you describing force in this scenario is simply preventing that violence from occurring. And they don't, they're really offended, I guess, by my language. Like, you're making it sound so harsh. And I'm like, but your definition of force is a prevention of violence. And they're like, force is the government stepping in and making that choice. Force is the government forcing the mother to have a vagina torn open. Force is dude, the baby's coming. Is ensuring that a mother experiences life-altering, threatening symptoms without her consent. Force is not allowing her to do the biological equivalent of brushing her hair or getting a massage, in many cases that kills just as many cells. Like, when my mom loves massages. She loves massages. When we were kids, she'd have us just line up. She's very tense in the shoulders. Like, after church, we one after another. We just have to massage her shoulders till our fingers got tired. And then one Christmas, I bought her one of those shiatsu massagers, and then we all got a break. But a good Christmas gift for her is like take out for massage or something like that. So she loves massages. Her brushing her hair or getting massage, what are the odds of her doing that and then it popping into me? That's not gonna happen. It's so stupid. So I just wanted to share how stupid some folks are, I guess, or how silly some of these arguments are. And sometimes people get offended when I make videos and they're like, oh, you're picking dumb arguments. People make them. They need to be corrected. They need to be corrected out there somewhere. I think I'm only going to do one more reply to this person because I don't think they want to listen too much, but it's too absurd not to reply to. So anyway, moving on. I'm not going to rant about my TikTok video all day. I want to show you guys this video that has gone super viral. Again, Pierre's running for Prime Minister of Canada. Hope he is successful. Obviously don't like the one that they have right now. So I hope Canada can be freed a bit. But this video is great.
On the topic, I mean, in terms of your sort of strategy currently, you're obviously taking the populist pathway.
What does that mean?
Well, appealing to people's more emotional levels, I would guess. I mean, certainly you tap very strong ideological language quite frequently.
Like what?
Left wing, this and that, right wing. I mean, it's that type of ideological thing.
I never really talk about left or right.
Anyways, I don't
really believe in that.
Okay, a lot of people would say that you're simply taking a page out of the Donald Trump book.
Like which people would say that?
Well, I'm sure a great many Canadians, but
Like who?
I don't know who, but...
Well, you're the one who asked the question, so
yeah.
You must know somebody.
Okay, I'm sure there's some out there, but anyways, the point of this question is, I mean, why should Canadians trust you with their vote, given, you know, not just the sort of ideological inclination in terms of taking the page out of Donald Trump's book, but
what are you
also,
talking about? What page? What page? Can you give me a page? Give me the page. You keep saying
in terms of turning things quite dramatically in terms of Trudeau and the left wing and all of this. I mean, you make quite a, you know, it's quite a play that you make on it. So I'm
not
just
sure.
wondering.
I don't know what your question is.
Then forget that. Why should Canadians trust you with their vote?
Common sense. Okay. Common sense for a change. We're going to make common sense common in this country. We don't have any common sense in the current government. You know, the guy prints $600 billion, grows our money supply by 32% in 3 years. That's growing the money 8 times faster than the economy. No wonder we have the worst inflation in 4 decades. I'm going to cap spending, cut waste, so that we can balance the budget and bring down inflation and interest rates. You'll want to be able to pay your mortgage again? You want to be able to afford rent? Then you have to vote for Pierre Poilievre, because I'm the only one with a common sense plan that will bring back the buying power of your paycheck.
Bravo. Just bravo. What do you mean by that? Just asking questions like that, clarifying questions to get to the root of what people mean. It can really be that simple. Make people, don't let them throw accusations at you. Make them ask clear questions that you can answer to, so you don't have to fight off and get distracted with accusations. So bravo to him, you know, trying to make comparisons to Donald Trump and other stuff like that. I don't think much, you know, besides like MAGA candidates don't want to be associated. I mean, everyone else doesn't really want to be associated. They just kind of want to be their own person, and this is a whole different country. And so I've seen people selling, maybe he might be selling it too, like merchandise with just buying the apple. I don't know if someone from Canada, I know people from Canada watch this sometimes, will have to let me know if that's a thing that has really caught on. But I've seen this video in all kinds of different circles on the internet, even like my apologetic circles that I watch, because they thought it was such a good takedown of the reporter just asking them to verify, clarify their actual statements. And then he just hit him at the end, like, common sense, you want to pay your mortgage, like letting them know that there is substantive things and not just slogans and catchphrases or just being the party of chaos, or the person who's running against something. He's running for something, to do something for change, for something better for the people. So I don't know what's going to happen in Canada. But it's in your hands, guys. But I thought that was a great interview and I wanted to share. In the midst of it, I did totally reply to that one person. But that was a good video. Really great video. So I just wanted to share if you guys had not seen it. So in darker news, so there have been different protests around the world regarding the Israeli-Gaza conflict, and there's one in New York. That was kind of interesting. Okay, so if that's your home, why are you here? Oh, you colonizers, why are you here? Oh my gosh. Why are you here? So that's one. Two, do people really not know that the Jews have like a 3,000 plus like year association with that land? I know people like to call the Bible fairy tale, but it's more like a historical narrative. And there's archaeological things that coincide with it as well. So I mean, the word Palestine and stuff, that the Romans came up with that in relation to Philistines, who were the enemies of the Jews, to embarrass them, because they didn't like them and they weren't too fond of them. But they had that land. They lost that land. They gained it back. They lost again, etc. But they are pretty native to that land. So I'm a little confused. There's never been a state of Palestine. The Palestinians have pretty much rejected every kind of two-state solution. They said we want all of it. People saying from the river to the sea. I'm like, do you guys? What's the end goal here? What's the just? I mean, I know Hamas's end goal. Like, I know, like, stated, they just want to kill the Jews. So, I'm not saying that's everybody's end game, but I'm like, what? Think about it a little bit. If they're all, they're not in Gaza, and they want all of it, and I don't think it's just Gaza. They when they say Palestine will be free, they're not saying free from Hamas. I think they should be free from Hamas, but it appears, that they don't want Israel to exist in the way that it exists now. So they're looking at them giving up more land, and apparently all of it in some cases. So let's go ahead and watch this video of this image that's gone pretty viral. But there's a video along with it that explains the sign. So maybe you've seen this sign if you've been on Twitter this weekend. So here's some context.
And why did you came out today?
I'm from Norway. I study here in Poland, but I'm here to support the Palestinian people and their rights, and hopefully there will be a free Palestine.
So you're holding such a poster, keep the world clean, I say, from Jews, yes?
No, not Jews.
No Jews?
No, of course not Jews. Really, freedom of religion is also a human right, which we support. But we do not support the Israeli government and the ethnical genocide they're doing right now.
So another thing, I don't know if this is the case with this young woman, but some videos that I've seen on TikTok and other places that have gone pretty viral, a mutual of mine was replied to someone, and they're like, I don't know, the people don't seem to know that being Jewish is more than simply a religion. It's also an ethnic thing as well. And someone was like, Jesus is an Arab. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, so they're saying that he was like religiously Jewish and ethnically Arab. And it's just like, I don't understand why people are so confused on this stuff or how this kind of happened. So she, told her off, but she had a lot of views, but there were a lot of comments. So people were, replying to the content as well. So it wasn't just, everybody like, oh, slay queen or something like that. I think a lot of people realized that person was an idiot, but there just seems to be a really big disconnect. So I can understand people not supporting the Israeli government for whatever reason, and I'm not gonna, I don't know, stand for a government all day long or something like that. There's issues with our government here in the US, you know. I could, you know, say my gripes about it all day. That's partly what I do. So I can totally get people not supporting the government, but I think there's more to it than that. You can be the judge.
To the Palestinian people. But Jews, we love everyone. We love Jews.
Jews and Christians and Muslims and all welcome to live.
Yeah.
So what is your poster about?
My poster is about the Israeli government.
Israeli government.
Yes.
So this Israeli government in the trash.
Yes,
Should
not
be.
the Israeli people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Israeli
What do you think happened on October 7th?
On October 7th, Hamas were resisting the genocide and their oppression that's happened for 75 years. What they did with civilians is, of course, not okay. But according to UN resolution, they are completely. It's their right to stand up for their rights and their freedom.
Excuse me, ma'am. Excuse me, ma'am. By the way, my sister had a good comment, so I was gonna share it. You can literally trace the line of Jesus. See, this is why you don't skip over the genealogy scriptures. Yes, true. True. Even though, you know, I know it can be a lot going the beget, but it's important information. So people will say, "Oh, what happened is egregious. What happened, or they won't even use that strong of a language. They'll say, "I don't agree with what happened, or it was bad, or something like that." And then they'll have a but, and that but is real big. That is a badonk of a but when they bring that up, saying, "Well, they were just resisting, or they had a right to defend themselves, etc." I know people don't want to believe these terrible things happen for whatever reason, but they killed what is like 1,400 people. The number is. They kidnapped people. They're still holding like 200. They kidnapped the elderly, the young, babies. They killed women, children, the elderly. They tied up families and burned them. There's an image I saw of 2 spinal columns entangled in the wires. Because they were, I guess, the mother, child, or whoever was embracing as they were tied up and burned alive. Charred corpses of babies, and some of them missing heads and other things like that. Shooting people they're driving, and the terrorists just come out and shoot them, burn people in their cars, gunning down people at the festival. The reports of people doing autopsies and stuff that women and children were both raped, according to someone who I saw who was doing, I guess, autopsies and stuff on people. They said that in some cases so violently that their pelvis was broken. And then some people have responded like, show us. You want to see like live stream video of the rape? Is that what you're asking for? Is that what you're asking for? And I know it's a little different. Like on the Palestinian side, they'll have like press conferences with corpses. But the Israelis showing all the stuff that they have showed is kind of more on the unusual side, because they respect their dead, and Hamas is using their dead as propaganda. They are fine with creating dead civilians and put their bases near churches and mosques, etc., to maximize damage. Because if something happens, they're like, "Oh, look at them," and they're hoping the international community comes and condemns Israel, and they just knock it off, and then they don't wipe out Hamas, etc. That's what they do. There's different videos of I saw like two women who were in one video, they're dressed up in military gear, and another one they're like dressed up, in civilian clothes and like, crying because that's what they do, the propaganda. I saw one video of a guy who's like looking up at the sky, like look because he's praising, Allah Akbar stuff as the rockets are flying overhead, and then another video he's like crying about the hospital and other stuff like that. That's what they're trained to do. And I'm not saying that people aren't dying. Uh, of course they're dying. Hamas wants them to die. They're totally fine with them dying. And it's terrible and it's horrible and it's war and it's ugly, but it's particularly ugly and it's dangerous for the civilians because one side would prefer if they got to safety. The other one's like, no, we need our propaganda machine to go to churn. We got to churn out the victims. And the hospital bombing, they said killed 500 people. Of course, that was a rocket that hit like a parking. It wasn't an Israeli airstrike. It was a rocket that misfired. And there's plenty of evidence. If you don't believe that, I don't know what else to say because I played the evidence on here. I showed it on TikTok. Other people have showed it. There's Al Jazeera was like live streaming it, that they probably like, shoot, darn it, didn't mean to show all this stuff. There's surveillance footage, drone footage, all kinds of stuff, plus actual footage of the church and basically, the hospital and basically just being the parking lot that was hit. And there's the recording of the terrorists. Now, I can understand people being more skeptical of that, but there's plenty of other footage. So Hamas probably knew that it wasn't the Israelis who shot that, and it was them, and they pushed that out. And New York Times and all these other folks pushed out the lie. And by the way, New York Times did kind of apologize, like, well, we got to learn to not trust Hamas so much, guys. Yeah, just crazy. So anyway, Israel has decided to show some more things, and today they did do something that was unprecedented, and they showed like the press raw footage and stuff. I'm going to show a reporter talking about some of that stuff later, but I don't know how much she knows, and I don't know how much the person next to her knows, but you can't say that, well, under the Geneva Convention, they had a right to defend themselves, and how they're defending themselves is going and raping women and blowing off the heads of babies and decapitating men who are still alive and gunning down civilians at music festivals. That is not how you defend yourself. I don't know what your definition of self-defense is, or resisting or whatever, but that's not the way that you do it. And it's concerning that so many people are making excuses for it. So I think a lot of people are talking from a place of ignorance. I think a lot of people are talking from a place of disbelief, where they just refuse to believe it. And I'd like to think I'd like to be gracious and think that some of these people just don't know. But some of these people are pushing evil, like the BLM Chicago had the paraglider thing. The paragliders came in to kill those people at the music festival, and then they're like, we stand with Palestine, and they have that specific image, so they know what they did, and they support that particular violence, not on military people, but on civilians. So I think it's really concerning. Not just that these people did this thing, but also how many people are justifying it and think that that is an acceptable way to resist these settlers and colonizers and etc. And because people use that language for people here. So I'd be concerned. And I did a TikTok video about that as well. I don't think I posted on YouTube, but man, I'd be concerned. I am concerned.
When their country is being occupied by Israeli government for
so many years.
Yeah, since 1948, they have been experiencing less and less land, ethnic cleansing, and it's it's not okay. So Hamas is. I do not support the killing of civilians, of course, but I support Hamas and Palestinians' rights to stand up for themselves.
Okay, but do you support the actions of Hamas, what they did?
Like I said, I do not support the
Yes, she does. She just said she did.
Okay.
Or kidnapping of civilians, but I support Palestinians' right to stand up for, like, the UN resolution.
You can't say you support you support them standing up for themselves when you see how they're standing up for themselves. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. There's a bad guy in the situation. You don't even if you don't like either sides, even if you don't like either side, guys, one side is evil. One side has acted inhumanely. You can't just say they're standing up for themselves, they're resisting, etc. Oh, I don't like killing civilians, but I support Hamas standing up for themselves. These people who build tunnels underground under civilian populations, these people who dig up pipes that should be used for water to make bombs, rockets, so they can shoot them into Israel nonstop to kill Jews or anybody who's there. That their rockets that they're shooting, they're not like, oh, that one's not a Jew, so let me divert over here. They shoot them as much as they can in Israel. And by the way, they tried ceasefire, I guess, earlier this year, and this is still the result of ceasefire. So calling for that is nonsensical, like the Hollywood people have been doing as of late. Alyssa Milano and other folks, signed on to that, calling for the White House to pressure a ceasefire. Hamas will get right on that, sure. You can't. Do you even know how stupid you sound? But she's aware that they've killed civilians. But she's got that badonkadonk button there.
The resolution literally says that they can resist occupation.
What do you think?
By any means necessary, also armed weapons.
Okay, what do you think? Should Israel exist as a state?
Dun, dun, dun.
I do not support the way it was done. I support that they have a right to exist. Israel has a right to exist, but not on Palestinian land, not on land that they occupies.
What do you think they should do?
To stick to the UN. They should stick to the UN plan for the land, which was in 19.
But the UN plan also was about the Palestinian land, because Palestinians believe that UN plan was also wrong.
Yes, but
look, we're not here to talk politics, right? We're here purely for the human rights and killing of people, of children, of civilians, innocent people. Mm-hmm. Thousands and thousands of children are being killed right now. We're not here to discuss whether or not it was correct. That is just so useless to talk about with two girls that are here to support human rights. It's nothing about religion or the territories or who owns what. It's not what it's about. The way it's done is wrong.
So what do you think should happen to stop this bloodless war?
What do you think should happen?
Tell me. I'm asking the questions.
Well, I don't know what to tell you. What I think they should stop bombing civilians. That's what I think they should
do. So there's been some good debunking videos as far as there's a graphic of that people keep sharing of Israel, of what the land was of Palestine, and then it just shrinking land, etc. the Palestinians didn't like the UN deal or whatever. And the land that they were going to give to Israel wasn't good land. They made it good. They made it great. They made it this amazing place that people like to go and visit. It's on and popping and stuff. But they weren't given great land or whatever, but the Palestinians didn't want that. And they've blown every opportunity for a two-state solution because they don't want a two-state solution. They don't want a two-state solution. And Israel has been willing to make a two-state solution for the purpose of peace, but it's kind of hard to do that when the people don't want you there on the land at all. So when they start getting asked some questions about what you're actually advocating for, you're saying that they have the right to resist by whatever means necessary, even though you don't agree with them killing civilians. It's obviously what they did. Beyond that, beyond just killing them, they've tortured them. People missing fingers and toes and all that sorts of stuff. They tortured these people as well. Psychological torture to them as they were dying, and then to the families afterwards. And then uploading it online, other places like that. Coming in with the GoPros and etc. So what is the end result of the things that you're advocating for? Throwing the Star of David in the trash. Like, what do you think is the end result of what you're advocating for? Saying that they shouldn't be on the occupied land and the people have a right to resist. They're resisting with terrorism because they don't want them there. So where did the Jews go? What happens to the state of Israel? So the question is, do they have a right to exist? They don't know how to answer that. And she's just looking to her friend, and her friend's like, we're not here to talk politics. We just want to stand for human rights. Whose human rights? Not all humans. The funny thing about human rights is it's supposed to apply to humans, not just certain kinds of humans. Otherwise, it would just be Palestinian rights or black rights or white rights, etc. But when you talk about human rights, they're supposed to apply across the board. You're not supposed to pick and choose. Again, there has never been a state of Palestine. There was a British mandate. There was a mandate. The Palestinians have blown every chance of a two-state solution. I'm going to go ahead and play this video from this journalist who talked about some of the things that they witnessed when the Israeli government decided to show raw footage of these was like surveillance videos, GoPros, etc. Someone shared one of the videos on a thread. I wish they would just kind of upload it somewhere for everybody to kind of see, so more people could just kind of see it. Though the stuff I've seen is hard to watch, but apparently more people need to see it because this all this stuff didn't happen too long ago, and people are not only memory holing it, justifying it, saying stuff didn't happen. It's pretty incredible. But I want to play this account of things that happen. They're pretty gruesome. They don't show anything, but they describe what they saw.
Burned bodies, beheaded bodies, mangled, bloodied remains of bodies, bodies in open fields, bodies in blood-covered bedrooms, bodies dragged out of cars, bodies lining the side of the roads, bodies in body bags, bodies in rows upon rows of body bags, so many that Zaka rescue teams went through 4 years of equipment in 3 days. Bodies in pools of blood, bodies lying on top of mangled piles of bodies, where Hamas has thrown grenades into bomb shelters to blow our young people's limbs from their bodies. We see the body of a young woman in the back of a pickup truck, her leg bent unnaturally backward, as terrorists holding RPGs straddle her body, yelling Allahu Akbar, as civilians join in the chorus to celebrate the booty these death squads brought back to Gaza. Bodies twitching, bodies, blood streaming from their necks, and Hamas terrorists shoot them to finish them off and check they're dead. Beheaded bodies of soldiers, as Hamas terrorists trample their bodies. Inside Gaza, the lifeless, bloodied body of a soldier dragged out of a car. Savages trample him as civilians crowd around him and scream Allahu Akbar in jubilation, with pure joy on their faces, taking turns to crush the corpse with their feet. We see the body of a Thai worker, barely still alive, covered in blood as some depraved savage tries to hack at his neck with a hoe. We see one body of a woman, her face burned so badly her lips have burned off, and all we see is her teeth, her legs wide open. Babies' bodies. We see the body of a baby shot in the head. Burned bodies of babies. I mean burned to a crisp. Burned babies, plural. I mean so badly burned that I had to ask the video to be stopped so that it could be explained to me that the piece of coal on the screen was the burned corpse of an Israeli baby. We see a burned body, mouth gagged, fabric still tied in its mouth. We see one body burned so badly that the skin on the head has burned away completely, and you see the white of the skull. We see burned corpses, burned to a cinder, frozen in terror, bodies twisted, like the human remains from Pompeii. How many burned bodies? We hear the first responders ask, and someone counts 8. We see bodies burned so badly they are still smoking, just lumps of coal. We see human ash that the world has not seen since Auschwitz. This was Hamas's October 7th massacre. This is the evil that we are up against. This is the evil that Israel will eliminate with the total defeat and dismantling of Hamas for the sake of our people and for the sake of humanity.
So, just horrific stuff. I mean, I've seen some of those things, but I obviously haven't seen all the stuff that they showed these reporters today. Here's some images from them watching it. I'm going to show you guys that someone shared on Twitter. Well, technically X, but it's a dumb name. I'm going to keep calling it Twitter. So there's people covering their mouths, which, by the way, some of the stuff that I've seen online has gotten that reaction from me. So pretty horrific stuff. I'm sure we'll see more reporting. Well, I hope that we'll see more reporting about some of the things that they've seen, but the need of them. Noam Bloom said the only people on earth who need to publicly parade their dead in the most horrifying moments just so they aren't accused of lying about it. It's pretty horrific. Pretty horrific. And there's all these videos that I've seen of people going around tearing down statues. I mean, sorry, not statues, pictures of people who've been kidnapped. And it's so bizarre. I guess I'll just show you guys a few. Some of these people have people are taking video, and they are, I guess, their jobs are finding out. Some of them are actually like losing their jobs. I don't understand people doing such crazy stuff in public. I don't understand the boldness of doing the crazy thing. Okay. But I also don't understand getting so upset about people posting photos of people who are missing. Like, shouldn't the main priority just to be like, we really need to get them home, regardless whatever side that you're on? Like, why does this offend you so much? Why? I don't understand. I don't understand how people can be so upset about this.
Why you are taking off our poster of people that were kidnapped? They were kidnapped by Hamas. Why you're doing that?
What about the Palestinian children?
What is that? What is that anything to do with those kids that were kidnapped by Hamas? What is that anything to do?
I like this made up accent. Yeah, I know. From a very real country.
Yeah. Yeah, I am. I am. And why you are taking off?
So there's a lot. Stop anti-Semitism. Twitter posted him. They claim that this man has been identified as a former student, Joe Friedman. He apparently was arrested on April 2023 for disrupting an event on campus. Investigation into trespassing should occur at a minimum. So they added the people if true. Here's another. This person filmed themselves. She filmed herself. And she's a makeup artist, so I guess she posted it on her socials, and Style Seed, I guess, ended up taking off their site. There's another.
Here. Stay here.
Galba. All right, I think that's good. Have a good day.
Fuck
you, and burn in hell.
Stay here. Stay here.
No, don't worry. We're going this way, so tell the police to find us up here.
Stay here.
I just don't understand. I just don't can't wrap my mind around it. Here's a couple who did it.
This is mine. I paid money for this, and you're not gonna fucking do it. I'm a citizen here, and this is American citizens. You fucking got it. You're not going to do it. Get the fuck out of here. This is American citizens. Got kidnapped. You fucking bitch. Get the fuck out of here. Put your fucking face. Get the fuck out of here. American citizens. You a fucking bitch. American citizens got kidnapped.
Yeah, apparently yeah, couple has been identified. One works as a social worker. One works for a strategist for human factors. Yeah. There's other ones too. Let me show this one's in my feed too. Let me show this one and then we'll move on.
So we're taking it down? Why are you taking those signs down?
Where are the Palestinians?
Why are you taking those signs
What
down?
does it have to do with the kidnapped kids?
What's the matter with you?
What's the problem?
It's a fucking hostage. What's wrong with you? Why are you taking
What
the signs down?
matter if it's Jew or Palestinian? What's happened with
It had
Palestinians?
nothing to do with them.
Where are the Palestinians?
So put your own sign up. Who took any Palestinians? Why are you taking the signs down? So we're taking it down? Why are you taking those signs down?
That's what. Why not? Why we're supposed to post whatever you want. But why are you taking down? Why are you taking these down? Anyway, Alyssa Milano and other celebrities have signed some kind of joint statement calling for a ceasefire, and Mark Ruffalo's on there, which Mark Ruffalo has posted some anti-Israel things in the past that have been pretty egregious, things that he's had to even go back and apologize for so much blowback. So I'm not really surprised that he's on there too. But excuse me, some people are sharing this article from Thomas Sowell that he wrote in 2014 that still I think is pretty good and applies today. So I'm going to go ahead and read it. The wise Thomas Sowell on why the ceasefires just aren't a good idea. Give me 1 second. Go ahead and I will share the screen. I love Thomas Sowell, by the way, but who with common sense does not? Many years ago, on my first trip around the world, I was struck by how the children in the Middle East Arab and Israeli alike, were among the nicest looking little children I'd ever seen anywhere. It was painful to think that they were going to grow up killing each other, but that is exactly what happened. It is understandable that today many people in many lands just want the fighting between the Israelis and the Palestinians to stop. Calls for a ceasefire are ringing out from the United Nations and from Washington, as well as from ordinary people in many places around the world. According to the New York Times, Secretary of State John Kerry is hoping for the ceasefire to open the door to Israeli and Palestinian negotiations for a long term solution. President Obama has urged Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to have an immediate, unconditional humanitarian ceasefire again, with the idea of pursuing some long lasting agreement. This if this was the first outbreak of violence between the Palestinians and the Israelis, such hopes might make sense. But where have the UN, Kerry, and Obama been during all the decades of endlessly repeated Middle East carnage? The Middle East must lead the world in ceasefires. If ceasefires were a road to peace, the Middle East would easily be the most peaceful place on the planet. Ceasefire and negotiations are magic words to the international community, but just what do ceasefires actually accomplish? In the short run, they save some lives, but in the long run, they cost far more lives by lowering the cost of aggression. At one time, launching a military attack on another nation risks not only retaliation but annihilation. With Carthage attacked Rome, that was the end of Carthage. But when Hamas or some other terrorist group launches an attack on Israel, they know in advance that whatever Israel does in response will be limited by calls for ceasefire, backed by political and economic pressure from the United States. It is not at all clear what Israel's critics can rationally expect the Israelis to do when they are attacked: suffer in silence, surrender, flee the Middle East, or, most unrealistic of all, fight a nice war with no civilian casualties. General William T. Sherman said it all 150 years ago: war is hell. If you want to minimize civilian casualties, then minimize the dangers of war by no longer coming to the rescue of those who start wars. Israel was attacked not only by vast numbers of rockets, but was also invaded underground by mazes of tunnels. There is something grotesque about people living thousands of miles away in safety and comfort, lawfully second guessing and trying to micromanage what the Israelis are doing in a matter of life and death. Such self indulgences are a danger not simply to Israel, but the whole Western world, for it betrays a lack of realism that shows in everything from the current disastrous consequences of our policies in Egypt, Libya, and Iraq to future catastrophes from the nuclear armed Iran. Those who say that we can contain a nuclear Iran as we contained a nuclear Soviet Union are acting as if they are discussing abstract people in an abstract world. Whatever the Soviets were, they were not suicidal fanatics ready to see their own cities destroyed in order to destroy ours. As for the ever elusive solution to the Arab Israeli conflicts in the Middle East, there is nothing faintly resembling a solution anywhere on the horizon, nor is it hard to see why. Even if the Israelis were all saints, and sainthood is not common in any branch of the human race, the cold fact is that they are far from advanced than their neighbors, and groups that cannot tolerate even subordinate Christian minorities can hardly be expected to tolerate an independent and more advanced Jewish state that is a daily rebuke to their egos. So that was Thomas Sowell, and I think he is correct. I think like I understand people don't want war, people don't like war, etc. But I've said this from the beginning, the get-go. What really puzzles me is that if the same thing had happened to the United States, we would not dare to take lectures about how we were going to retaliate. Something along the equivalent of the numbers would be more than like 40,000 people, maybe even higher now, but 40,000 people being killed in the U.S. in some kind of attack like that. Like we would not, we wouldn't take the lectures from all around the world and stuff. We just wouldn't do it. the way people lecture Israel is just especially after an attack this brutal and crazy, is just unreasonable to me. Like, you cannot like him, but to think that, I mean, people like, how dare they? They turned their electricity off. Like, why don't you have infrastructure for your own electricity? You can't rape the landlord's daughter and be like, why'd you turn off the lights? You can't do that. You can't do that. Let me not pay DTE and see if I can call that a war crime when they cut off my power. It's just so stupid. It's so stupid. And then they turned it on, like the water and stuff down in the South because they wanted to move people, incentivize them to go further down. If they would have been like, "Now we're not turning anything on until you guys give us back the hostages," I could have understood that. But they caved. They caved a bit earlier, man. And again, Hamas, they're the ones who dig up pipes. So you give foreign aid, and apparently Biden is trying to give a bunch of foreign aid and stuff. They take foreign aid, and they take that foreign aid, and they either enrich themselves, like the higher ups or whatever, and then they take the money or resources to, build bombs, rockets, or whatever to kill Jews. Like, that's what they do. They dug up those pipes that should have been used for water, and they turned them into rockets so they could fire them into Israel. So if people want to be liberated, the heads of the state who are in charge, they need to be taken out. But people are saying things like, no, they have the right to resist, and Palestine should resist. And I don't support Hamas, but I support Hamas resisting on behalf of them, even though they did all these terrible things. Like, nothing is making sense. Nothing is making sense. And I love how people are like, they're different. And I agree. There's plenty of people who I would like to think there's plenty of people in Gaza who don't rock with that. But then they say that it would, like, this was an appropriate way or understandable way to resist. So if you're overseas or places saying that, oh no, like that's just how you resist, that I can understand how they resisted that way. Rape is a total legitimate way of resisting. Guys, if you think that about them and then you're like, well, no, they're not for it. Like, is it bad or is it not? Is it bad or is it not bad? So calling for a ceasefire, they still have the hostages. They did release 2. Apparently, I knew they were American, but they're related to somebody from NBC or whatever, so journalists and mainstream media. So that's probably a strategic reason why they release those particular hostages too. But they could unconditionally release all of them and go from there. But even then, they can't just be like, oh yeah, you got us. Haha, 1,400 people killed and tortured. See you next time. Until next time, until the next massacre. They can't do that. We would not expect someone else to just, take it on the chin. We would not take it on the chin. We would not take it on the chin. So that's what puzzles me about so many people's reactions and scolding of Israel. So they're in war. I don't know if they're gonna just go ahead and do what they feel that they need to do, or if they're gonna succumb to pressure. I don't know. But I think they should take out Hamas, and I think that would be best for the people who are used as cannon fodder, the people who are used as human sacrifices, the people who the government depends on them to die so they can be used in a propaganda machine. I think it would be best if Hamas was taken out. That's what I think. And we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But for all of you out there who are, it's bad, but I don't want to hear from your badonkadonk. I don't. The sort of things that's not an appropriate way to resist. And I've said this many times. Like, there's Christians all over the world who are heavily persecuted, whether it's in Muslim countries or it's in communist countries and whatnot, and they pray for their aggressors. They, you know, they get closer to God. They don't say, "Oh, let's get together and rise up and go rape a bunch of civilians." That's not what happens. You decide within your mind to suppress the laws that are written on your heart, your conscience, whatever you want to call it, so you can go out and act inhumanely to these other human beings. That's a decision that you make. And Hamas needs to pay for it. So even I can understand people not wanting the US to get involved. I think wanting to get our hostages back is a reasonable thing. I think supplying our allies so they can, restock or whatever to the Iron Dome, I think that's reasonable. But I understand people not wanting to get too much involved beyond that. But at the very least, just let Israel do what they have to do. At the very least. I mean, if you're concerned about the civilians, you could try to pressure Egypt to let in some people, but they don't want to let people in because they don't want to risk terrorists coming in. So it's a bad situation. But as the article quoted, war is hell. War is hell. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me today. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Please go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on the website, different articles, different videos, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation at blacktnews.com/donate. Cost of streaming, cost to run my website, all that stuff. So if you guys can support in that way, I do very much appreciate it. Check out different merch on the website as well. You guys can check out I got mugs, I got t-shirts. And my book website, if you go to the merchandise page, there's a banner that will take you to my book website so you can see all the stuff I've written. I got children's chapter books, historical fiction, fantasy, all kinds of different stuff. And of course, my book, God is Blatantly Against Abortion, is also available as well. So I encourage you guys to go ahead and read that, check that out. I haven't mentioned this in a few days. So my sister who did the art for this book, she is having an art showcase on December the 2nd. So if you are in Michigan, if you're like in the Oakland County area or don't mind a drive at all, that it would be on again December the 2nd. So her website's teenagetextportraits.com. You guys can find out more information there. I'll post some stuff about it. So hope to see you guys. I'll also be at Motor City Comic Con next month as well. So if you're in Metro Detroit area, you're planning on coming to the con, you can find me at the table and pick up some books and have a nice conversation chat. And if you're a troll, I'm not arguing with you. I'm selling books, dudes. So anyway, thank you guys again for joining me, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow.